You're listening to Talk in the Night with your host, Paranormal Phil. And now, your host.
Good evening, good morning, wherever you may be listening around the world or in the comfort of your own home. I am Paranormal Phil, and tonight we're going to be talking with my guests about eliminating toxins from our lives and how to feel better. And when I say toxins, it's not just the food we eat, but other things in our lives that are causing us to live an unhealthy life. So please welcome my guest, Cheryl Meyers.
Hello, thank you for having me, Phil.
It's a pleasure having you. So tell the listeners a little bit about you.
Well, I was an entrepreneur, and 6 years ago, I hurt so much I couldn't get out of bed, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. So, of course, I went to my doctor, and she didn't know what was wrong with me. And so I went back again, and she still didn't know what was wrong with me, and she suggested that perhaps it was in my head. And I knew it wasn't in my head because all of my muscles and my bones hurt. So finally she offered me steroids, and I wasn't going to take steroids. So I decided that I was going to own my own health and try to figure out what the heck was wrong with me. So I started listening to a bunch of symposiums by a whole new paradigm in medicine called functional medicine. And these are all doctors that have MDs from very reputable places, places like Harvard. But they all got sick, and so they looked for something that could help them get well themselves, and they discovered functional medicine, which was an additional certification. And they were running a bunch of symposiums, and I listened to, if you can believe it, 19 of them, trying to figure out what was wrong with me. And each one had like at least 10 different experts that spoke in them. And it came down to, I thought I probably had autoimmune disease. And what causes autoimmune disease? Well, lots of things, but the two biggies were toxins and stress. So I started to look for my own functional doctor. I started to research toxins, and I started to research how I could relieve stress in my life. And that led me to eliminating hundreds of toxins in my life because I was appalled. They were literally everywhere. And so that was sort of the launching of me in a whole new direction. I went back to school to become a health coach because I really want to spread this information because we're literally being poisoned and we don't know it. And I went back to school, I became a health coach, and I wrote a book called It Feels Good to Feel Good, Learn to Eliminate Toxins, Reverse Inflammation, and Feel Great Again. And finding a functional doctor, eliminating all of these toxins. Over the last 6 years, I'm probably 80% well. I don't have pain very often anymore. The functional approach is different than a conventional approach in that they really want to find where the tack is that you're sitting on. It's called root cause medicine. And I kind of joke that I'm like an onion. She keeps peeling layers off of me. But each layer that she peels off gets me closer to health. So we found heavy toxic metals. We found toxic mold in my body. We discovered that I have a anomaly to my DNA that doesn't allow me to detox. So when the poisons go in, they stay in my body. But we keep finding different things that we're approaching, and with each step I get better. And one of the biggies was there are 18 things that I eat that I'm sensitive to. They all cause inflammation and pain. So I avoid them. I call them my kryptonite. I avoid them like the plague. So that's what brings me here. I'm trying to share all this information so that people out there who are sick don't have to put up with a life of pain and pills. There's another way, and I can help them find it.
Now, what are some of the toxins that you talk about in your book and help people with?
Well, it starts off with the simple ones. You should always eat organic if you can. I didn't really understand the whole thing between organic vegetables, conventional vegetables, and genetically modified vegetables. I sort of knew it was out there. I knew that they were trying to get people to be honest about genetically modified, but I didn't really understand. So let's start there. Genetically modified is one of two things. They're either putting Bt toxins right into the vegetable. And Bt toxin is something that when an insect eats it, it blows up its stomach. which is not too ducky because we have lots of bugs in our own gut. And so when our own gut bacteria eats the Bt toxin, it blows up their guts too. So we don't have good bacteria in our guts, which then creates problems. The other thing that they're doing is making crops Roundup ready. Roundup is made by Monsanto, and they're spraying it liberally on all our crops.
Oh, yeah.
So that something like wheat, they're dousing it in Roundup because then they get a bigger yield in the crop. And so we're eating all of this, and it's a herbicide, that has not really been well studied, but the new studies are starting to come out, and it's creating all kinds of havoc. Again, it's killing our good gut bacteria. It's preventing us from allowing the enzymes from our food to go into our system, which we need to keep our bodies clean of cancer and to have basic body functions. It's also blocking, it's a cleator, so it's blocking us from absorbing the minerals in our vegetables, plus it's not allowing the plant to take the minerals up in its roots in the first place. So suddenly, for the first time, we're very deficient in things like magnesium and vitamin D. We're just not getting them from our food the way we used to because of all the herbicides that are being sprayed on the products. So California just took Monsanto to court and declared that glyphosate is actually a known carcinogen, which was supported by the World Health Organization. They won the lawsuit under their Prop 65, but I don't know what's going to happen with it from there. And they're still liberally spraying, so it's still... So if ever I was going to convince you to do anything, buy organic as much as possible, because it makes a huge difference to the amount of toxins going into your body.
Well, I know a lot of, because I live on 3 acres, so I have chickens, so I got farm fresh eggs, and they eat non-GMO food and everything like that, so I got farm fresh eggs, at least that part. And of course
there's another advantage to that, which I thought was interesting. Not only do you have farm fresh eggs that don't have all the toxins in them, but if you have chickens running around on your property, they're happy chickens, which means all their stress hormones are not going into the eggs.
Yeah.
And all those hormones from stress, that all, makes your stress hormones go wild. So it's a double benefit that you have your own chickens and your own eggs.
Yeah, well, it helps. But yeah, no, I even grew some corn last year and everything like that. Not much, but it was, like I said, I've heard so much about the GMOs and how it is destroying our bodies because of all the pesticides in it and everything like that. So,
it's also making our farmers sick. So I don't think it's going to be a sustainable lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it's going to catch up with us. But even all our conventional crops are heavily sprayed with all kinds of chemicals. Not all of them are made by Monsanto. Some of them are made by DuPont and other people. But if anybody can convince me that it would be good to eat pesticides and herbicides, I'll listen. But otherwise, stay away from them as much as possible, because trust me, they are not good for you. And they are creating all kinds of havoc in your body, which is one reason we're all so sick. Now, it ended up, I'll tell you this, I did have autoimmune disease.
Yeah.
So when I wrote the book, I really wrote the book to other people who are frustrated, who have autoimmune disease and they can't figure out what the heck is wrong with them. But since I wrote the book, I have discovered that toxins create inflammation, and inflammation is one of the root causes of most of our chronic disease, whether it's cancer or strokes or your heart disease or Alzheimer's or Parkinson's, even depression. All goes back to something that's called leaky gut, which comes from largely it's because of the toxins that are going into our gut, and it's creating little holes in our gut, which are leaking big food particles into our bloodstream, and then our immune system is going wild. So all those chronic diseases have their beginning in inflammation, which all starts not just with, but with toxins.
Yeah. Yeah, and it just destroyed. Now, with all this bad stuff that's out there, how do we find the right stuff for our bodies? Like the organic foods and stuff like that.
Well, you start, most of the places that I did my research is on a huge database by a company called EWG, Environmental Working Group. They have hundreds of thousands of items that they have rated from 1 to 10 in terms of how toxic it is. And this company, God love them, puts out a list every year that they call the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. The Dirty Dozen no longer is 12, it's now 18 items. It's Dirty Dozen Plus. But if it's on the Dirty Dozen, you only buy it if it's organic. People are always complaining to me, how can I afford not to eat organic? How can I afford to eat organic? And my comment to them is, you're going to either pay now or you're going to pay later. You're going to pay now with buying the food that's better for you, or you're going to pay later when you get sick. But this is a list that comes out every year, and if it's on this list, you just absolutely buy organic. And number one on this list, people go, oh no, are strawberries. Strawberries are loaded with pesticides. And then I have people ask me, can we wash it off? Well, no. They've actually scrubbed the fruit or the vegetable at least 4 times, and then they test it. So if it's on the Dirty Dozen Plus, you just need to avoid it.
Yeah.
If it's on the Clean 15, and there are 15 items on the Clean 15, doesn't matter if you buy organic. So you can save your money and just buy whatever you find. And often there are things with pretty significant skins on them, like avocados and pineapples. But there's also things on there like cabbage and papayas, as long as it's not a genetically modified papaya, which you have to pay attention to.
Yeah.
And asparagus and eggplant. Generally, cantaloupe. They have pretty good skins that protect you. But you can access this either on my website. I have a whole thing on my blog about it. Or you can access it by actually going to EWG and typing in Dirty Dozen. And it'll bring up the list of that year what you're supposed to avoid to keep yourself and your families healthy.
Okay, so yeah, on your website there is a list that shows you the Dirty Dozen and the clean stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I have written a couple blogs about it. I have 12 Steps to Healthy Eating that has it right smack in the middle of it.
Now I was talking to you before the show, and everything like that about listening to the other show that you were on, and everything like that, and he was talking about drinking sodas. Now I cut down on the sodas that I drink, and of course I drink caffeine-free soda, just because the caffeine just is bad for you. But I know no soda is going to really be good for you at all.
Believe it or not, the caffeine is the least of your problems when you're drinking soda. It really is gut rot. It will eat right through your gut. And sugar is not good for you, whether it's real sugar or the little fake sugars, which are the blue, the pink, and the yellow packets. All of that. The fake sugars are just pure chemicals that are creating havoc in your body, and the sugar itself has all kinds of problems with your body that create disease. And I thought the most interesting thing when I was studying sugar is that sugar is as addictive as cocaine. They actually did a study on rats, and they gave them cocaine, and then they took it away from them, and they gave them sugar. Ooh, they loved the sugar. And then they gave them cocaine again. They chose the sugar. They much prefer the sugar. But one of the things that sugar does is that it turns off your hormones that regulate whether or not you're hungry. So if you're eating sugar, I know that I used to eat a big meal and then go, why am I so hungry? Well, it's because I was eating sugar. So my brain couldn't register that I was full, and it was telling me to eat more. And that's all because of the sugar. To get off of sugar is like detoxing off of a drug, a serious drug. I was sick as a dog for about 2.5 weeks. Like I had terrible flu. But once I got through the other side of that, I don't crave sugar. I don't want sugar. I'm not hungry all the time anymore, and I feel better. So sugar's a biggie that you got to look out for, and soda is loaded with either real sugar or fake sugar. So it's not good for you.
Yeah, well, I know, like, Sweet and Low, I know it's got aspartame in it, which is not good for us, and I'm pretty sure that's one of the lists of toxins that's really not good for you at all.
Aspartame is actually a neurotoxin, if you you can believe it. So you don't want to be putting that into your body.
Yeah.
The yellow packet, which I don't want to name, it kills all your good gut bacteria. So they each do something individual that's bad for the body. So you don't want to put them into your body because you only get one body and you want it to last your whole life and keep you healthy.
Yeah. I know.
I asked my husband, isn't he deprived? And he said, no, I want to die with a smile on my face. So I like eating this way.
Well, that's always a good thing when
Yep.
you can get somebody that been doing something wrong for so many times as far as like eating wrong and stuff like that, and give them a different way of thinking about it, like the sugar and soda and stuff like that, and the food that we're eating.
I shared with you that I met my husband 6 years ago, and I married him 3 years ago. We're just coming up to our 3rd year anniversary, and I'm 69, so I'm no spring chicken. But he has lost 70 pounds since we've been together. So he's happy as a clam because we eat really well, but I cook most of our food so that I know what we're putting into our bodies. And it's delicious. It's just different than what other people eat. I don't use wheat. I use almond flour. I have a whole list of don't use this, use that instead. That just makes a healthier product that my body appreciates.
Yeah.
But the food is quite delicious, and it's well worth eating. And I love cooking for company because they're always kind of surprised at what I serve them and how delicious it is because I don't cook normal. But I also told you I have 18 food sensitivities, so I cook around them.
Yeah.
Because if I eat them, they make me sick.
Well, yeah.
So I eat around the 18 sensitivities.
Well, like that show that you were talking with the other show that you were on, talking about the food sensitives and milk products and stuff like that. And I know with me, I'm not lactose intolerant or anything like that, but I do have a problem when I get cheese that has oil in it. It makes me definitely ill. Now, if it's milk product in it, I'm fine, but when it's got that oil in it, it just does something to me that's like, yeah, I can't do it.
I'm actually sensitive to what's called casein and whey. Those are the two proteins in the milk. So I can use ghee, Ghee, which is clarified butter. All the milk products have been taken out of it. So I still get to use ghee, but I don't do cheese, which is probably my most favorite thing in the world. I no longer do cheese because it makes me sick. I don't use milk. I don't use dairy yogurt. Instead, I now eat either coconut yogurt or almond yogurt, which are pretty terrific. And it doesn't matter if it's cow dairy, if it's sheep dairy, or if it's goat dairy. They all make me sick. And I keep trying because I keep hoping I can eat them again, and they're gone. So it's not worth it. It's self-defense to stay away from it. And it's one of my highest sensitivities. So some people are very lactose intolerant. A lot of other people are just allergic to the casein and the whey. But it's not unusual to be sensitive to dairy. And I don't think people are even aware that it's making them sick.
Yeah, well, I know out where I live, now I grew up in the city, but I had family out in the country. Now I live out here. But back when I was a kid, there was plenty of dairy farms, and there wasn't all this GMO and stuff like that in the late 70s, early 80s. And you could go to like these dairies and buy milk. Now you cannot find those because it's just going straight from there to the processing plant and everything like that. And of course, that's where we're getting all this toxins inside the milk and everything.
Well, there's lots of problems with dairy. For conventional dairy, they're loading them up with antibiotics and hormones, and they're trying really hard to keep that poor animal alive as long as possible. And all of that stuff they're putting into the animal is coming out in the milk and coming out in the meat. And it's really pretty disgusting when you read about it. But not only because of what it's doing to the animal, it's disgusting because it's passing into our food. So not a pretty subject. If you're going to drink milk, a couple of tips. It should be from grass-fed cows. which means they're eating their natural diet so that the milk that they're producing doesn't have all that crud in it. And then the second thing, which really surprised me when I was researching, is you want to drink full fat milk. Full fat, because when they take out the fat, they're taking the most expensive part of the milk out for themselves, and they're leaving us with the watery, sort of cruddy gray stuff, and then they have to do something to make it taste better. So they're taking some of the milk and they're blowing it up, and they're making it sort of as a filler, and that stuff causes cholesterol. There's all kinds of problems with low fat and non-fat, and if you're going to drink milk, avoid it.
Yeah.
Full fat.
Yeah, I drank.
Believe it or not, it's recommended that we go back to raw milk, which when I was a kid you couldn't have because it was going to make you sick.
Yeah.
Well, it ends up it doesn't make you sick. It has all kinds of nutrition in it that gets removed when it gets pasteurized. So.
Yeah, well, no, I don't care for the low fat or the no fat or anything like that. It's just to me, it's all marketing thing. I'd rather drink the full fat vitamin D milk and everything like that. Even though
believe it or not, the vitamin D in the milk isn't vitamin D that your body can use. It's synthetic vitamin D, and it actually is pulling calcium out of your bones, not the opposite. So we're deficient in vitamin D3. What's in milk is vitamin D2 and doesn't do us very much good. So if that's where you're going to drink, that's where you think you're going to get your vitamin D, it's probably not.
Well, no, I mean, I just saying that's what I drink rather than the low-fat milk or anything like that.
Right.
Now, somebody asked, one of my listeners asked, how do we, going back to the sugar thing, how do we get off the sugar the easiest, best way?
I actually have an entire protocol in my book that you can follow. But there are some things that you're still allowed to have. You can have berries. Berries are very low in sugar, and so while you're detoxing off of sugar, you're allowed to have berries. But you really need to kind of go cold turkey, just like you would if you were doing a drug detox, and get off all the white bread, the white flour, anything that has real sugar in it or fake sugar in it. You eliminate all of that. And you crave it like crazy in the beginning, and you get sick because you're not eating it. But if you can stick to it and go out the open window, you come out the other side and you feel terrific.
Yeah, I know.
I think I have like 12 things that you do while you're detoxing off of sugar in my book.
Yeah. Now, going back to like the milk and the fat and stuff like that they take out a lot of that fat for non-fat and low fat and stuff like that. Because we've been primed to, as far as told that fat is bad for us, but what fat is good for? Is there a certain fat that is bad for us and certain fat that is good for us?
Yeah, and that's even kind of amusing unto itself. I told you I'm old. I'm 69. When I was a kid, the fats that we were using were the fats that my grandparents used. So all of those suddenly got demonized, and we weren't supposed to use them. We were supposed to use vegetable oils. We were supposed to use soy oil and corn oil and just plain vegetable oil. And it ends up, those are the bad oils, and we need to go back to the good oils. So what do we use? Olive oil sort of stayed on the good list in both generations. But the problem with olive oil is that in the last 10 years, the mafia has gotten involved with it. So you can't just buy any olive oil either because they're cutting it with all the bad oils. So you need to either buy California olive oil, which is regulated, or Spain, Italy, or Greek olive oil that's certified, where they're actually tracking the olive all the way from the tree to the bottle. All those inexpensive olive oils in the grocery store, they probably aren't really olive oil. And when I go into a restaurant now and I ask for olive oil, I make them bring me the bottle because more often than not, they're using a olive oil, canola oil combination. And canola oil is also not good for you. Number one, it's all genetically modified, and they named it. I love this because it's from Canada. And so can comes from Canada, and olive because because it rhymes with granola. It made it sound like it would be healthy.
Yeah, that's how they do a lot of things. It's like, let's see how we can let's see how we can make this more appealing.
The other oils that are good for you are coconut oil, avocado oil, grapeseed oil. We just found somebody who was using brown rice oil that was awfully yummy, and it's probably good for you. And then ghee. Ghee is my one of choice because since I can't have the butter, at least I get a lot of the butter taste. And ghee is especially good for anybody who has autoimmune disease. There's some kind of special qualities to ghee that help the body operate. So you do need some oils and fats in your body. When they suddenly said, well, let me tell you how it ended up that they suddenly demonized oils altogether. Because there was a study done that was paid for by the sugar industry, and rather than putting the microscope on sugar, they decided to vilify fat, that it was what was making us fat. And it ends up it wasn't the fat that was making us fat, it was the sugar that was making us fat, and it's taken us how many decades to get back to the fact that we actually need oil. We need oil for our brains to operate properly and for our bodies to operate properly. So, yeah, there's been a lot of deception about our food and a lot of marketing, as you say.
Yeah.
And it's pretty eye-opening when you get into it.
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't look. A lot of people don't look at a lot of the ingredients. Like I said, with cheese, somebody that's listening says it's hard to hear you. I got the sound all the way up, so I don't know why.
Okay, I'll try to talk a little bit louder.
Yeah, I'm just checking the sound real quick. Yeah, I got the sound up, so. But yeah, no, it's just the whole marketing thing. They do everything they can. But now you mentioned oils. What about like vegetable oils?
Nope, bad.
Bad. Okay.
Get rid of it. You don't want to be using it.
All right.
Red oils are good. Olive oil's good. Coconut oil's good. Avocado oil is good. But you don't want to be using all the vegetable oils. They don't do your body any favors.
Yeah. Now, we talked about sodas and stuff like this. I want to bring up water and stuff like that and the chemicals that are in it. But we'll bring that up after the commercial break. We're going to go into commercial. We'll be right back with my guest, Cheryl Meyers, as we talk about eliminating toxins from our body and how to feel good again. We'll be right back after the short commercial break.
Just let me love you when your heart is tired. Cold hands, red eyes, packed your bags at midnight. I've been there for weeks. You don't know what goodbye means. Just roll up a cigarette. Just forget about this mess. And waiting on the sidelines, from the sidelines. I see those tears in your eyes. I feel so helpless inside. Oh, love, there's no need to hide.
Are you a ghost hunter or want to become one but don't have the equipment? Well, GhostStop.com has all your ghost hunting equipment needs. If you are a beginner, they have beginner ghost hunting kits on sale for $99.95, or for the seasoned ghost hunter that is missing that one piece of equipment, GhostStop.com has a laser grid scope on sale for $18.95. Click on the banner ad at the top of the Talk in the Night website and get shopping today. GhostStop.com, your one-stop shop for all your ghost hunting needs. Do you have a paranormal team? Are you a small-time author? Do you have a radio show that you would like to promote? Is there anything that you would like to get the word out there about but don't have a big budget? Well, Talk in the Night has an opportunity for you to sponsor the show without breaking your wallet. Contact the show at talkinthe.night@outlook.com or on the show's website or Facebook page for more details.
Do you think you have a haunted or cursed object? What Nicole Gaspard does, and in her book Haunted Vessels and Cursed Objects, she talks about her continued paranormal and supernatural ghost encounters, haunted dolls, and other items that are supposed to be haunted or cursed. Pick up your copy today on Amazon.com.
To the sun with me, so I can show you something you've never seen. And both you and I shouldn't be too shy about letting go for once. Come and be free with me. Just look straight ahead. Don't you stay behind. Don't stay behind. Trying to make you feel right.
Okay, and we are back with my guest Cheryl Meyers as we talk about eliminate toxins from our body and everything like that. Now, we were talking in the first part of the show, we were talking about sugar and stuff like that, and we were talking during the commercial break, me and my guest, and she opened up her book to the whole thing about sugar and stuff like that, so I'll let her explain.
Yeah, just to give you some hints. The first thing you have to do is learn to read the labels on the food. 4 grams of sugars equals 1 teaspoon. And a yogurt can have as many as 8 teaspoons of sugar in it. So you have to be very careful to read the labels so that you're not picking things that are loaded with sugar. So that's the first thing you do. Then your grocery shops say you have great choices on hand so that when you start the detox, you're not going to be eating out, but you're going to be able to pick, if you want a snack, you're going to go for the celery and the guacamole, which is yummy, but it's not got any sugar in it. You're going to eat a lot of vegetables while you're detoxing off of sugar. But if I have my way, you're going to be eating a lot of vegetables, period, because your body needs all those nutrients to keep it functioning properly. And you're going to eat vegetables from all the different colors of the rainbow and as close to the farm as possible. And I know I'm in California, so that's easier said than done in some areas of the country.
Yeah.
But if you're someplace on the East Coast, then you buy organic frozen vegetables, so that at least you're getting the advantage of all the nutrients from the frozen vegetables. So when you're doing that, you're going to be, when you're doing a sugar detox, you're going to be eating lots of green vegetables, and you're going to be avoiding the ones that are slightly sweet, the sweet potatoes, the squash, the beets, the potatoes. You want to stay away from starchy vegetables for the 3 weeks that you're going to be detoxing off of sugar. You're eating lots of nuts and seeds. You're going to be making sure you get plenty of the good oils in your diet. You're going to eat protein, but it's going to be clean protein. You're going to be eating grass-fed meat. You're going to be eating pastured chicken. You're going to be eating lamb, who just only likes to eat grass, so he's easy. You're going to be eating pastured pork, and you're going to be eating wild salmon. And yes, those are more expensive than conventional meats, but you only need as much as a deck of cards going forward. That's all the protein that you need on your plate. The rest of your plate really should be a combination of raw and cooked vegetables. So you're going to eat your protein to keep your cravings down. For snacks, you're going to eat guacamole and celery sticks. You get to chomp that way. You're going to be eating your nuts. The only juices that I drank while I was detoxing off of sugar were pomegranate and cranberry juice without sugar. And I have Trader Joe's here in California. I know lots of areas of the country do. They make a great unsweetened pomegranate juice and cranberry juice. And then I add a little bit of stevia, which is the only sweetener that I use, which is a green leaf that's very sweet. And so that adds the sweet that you need to make it palatable. You eat a lot of organic berries, and you can eat as many green apples as you want because they're very low in sugar. Fresh blueberries are incredibly good for you, and they're low in sugar, whether in also your raspberries. But you want to be careful that they're not, that they are organic, because there's a lot of pesticides and herbicides on berries. So green apples are a great choice. You want a good multivitamin while you're doing it. You want to take some chromium to keep your body function working well. You can eat some almond nut butter, salmon jerky, turkey jerky, a can of wild salmon, full-fat dairy. All of those things are okay when you're detoxing off of sugar. You want to eliminate grains for the period of the detox, because they turn into sugar when you eat them. And you want to eliminate sauces and things like ketchup and mustards, because they're loaded with sugar. Your breakfasts need to be savory, so eggs are a great choice. And you can always add green onions and mushrooms and vegetables in to change it up. And then the last thing that's really important that you do, believe it or not, because it'll keep your stress level down, is learn to breathe. There is a phenomenal breathing exercise that you can actually look up right on Google and go to by Dr. Andrew Weil, who is one of the integrative doctors, and it's called the 4-7-8 breathing exercise, where you breathe in for 4, you hold it for 7, and then you blow it out through your mouth for 8, and you do that 3 times in a row, and you do it twice a day. And that resets your parasympathetic nervous system and relieves your stress. So it's incredibly good for your body. And since you're going to be a little stressed when you're going through the sugar detox, it's good to learn that breathing exercise while you're doing it.
Yeah, well, I know, like, with me, I got, like, they can't figure out when it happened, but I had a broken nose, so, and I never knew about it. So part of my nose is crooked, so it makes it a little difficult to breathe sometimes. Now, would something like that still work for somebody like me that does have that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the point is the count of the breathing. So if you can't breathe in through your nose and you do it all through your mouth, I think it would probably still have a similar benefit. So you'd be fine.
Okay.
The thing is to get the rhythm going in your body.
All right. So now we were going to talk about water and stuff like that, since we want to get away from the sodas. But water even has toxin in it, such as fluoride and everything like that. And
it's got way more than that. You know, when I was listening to all of the stuff about Flint, Michigan, I thought, wow, they have so much lead in their water. Isn't that terrible? Well, guess what? They're not the only city in America that is loaded with lead and other toxins. You can actually call your water department and get a full report on what's in your water, but I guarantee it's got stuff in it that you don't want to be drinking. And what I recommend is that you get a water filter that is not terribly expensive. They're just over $100, and you put them under your kitchen sink, and it has its own little faucet, and you drink all your water from the filtered water spout. I make my tea with that in the morning. I make my oatmeal with that water. I have bought stainless steel bottles that I fill up when I'm going to be out of the house, that I drink my water out of, because not only is the water contaminated that's coming out of your kitchen faucet, but it's even less regulated when it's in plastic water bottles that we're buying at the grocery store. So we're paying 20 times more for those bottles, and they're loaded with more toxins than if we were drinking from our own faucet. It's really kind of appalling when you get into all this stuff, but you can be responsible to clean it up. I actually bought stainless steel jugs. So if I'm going to be gone longer than one bottle's worth of water, I take a jug with me, and it doesn't matter if it gets hot. If a plastic water bottle gets hot in your car, it leaches even more chemicals into your water. But if you're in stainless steel, it stays cool, it's lovely, you have it with you, you have plenty of water, and you need to be drinking half your body weight a day in ounces, because your body needs all that water to function properly.
Yeah.
But it needs to be clean. It needs to be toxin-free water.
Yeah, no, I mean, I used to drink out of plastic water bottles, because on the weekends I work outside an amusement park, so I have to drink a lot of water because it can get warm during the summer months. And I try to stay well hydrated with water, but like I said, with all the toxins, hard to, especially because a lot of people know all about the fluoride, but they don't know a lot about the other toxins that are in the water.
Yeah, there's all kinds of metals in our water. There's all kinds of chemicals. And just as a general rule, if you get this report, it's the same as when you're reading labels on your food. If you can't pronounce it, you don't want to put it in your body. It's something synthetic that is not going to do your body any good. And what you want to be putting into your body are things that your body can use. So all the toxic metals need to go away. All of those weird synthetic ingredients that are on packages have to go away. You want to eat real food. That's what your body wants to heal itself. That's the most amazing thing. We really have a pretty incredible machine that we're living in. If you feed it the right stuff, it wants to stay healthy, but you got to help it. And the more we put credit into it, the more we put the things we can't pronounce into it, the more trouble we're in.
Yeah.
It can't keep up with us.
Yeah, like I said, you mentioned like lead in the water and stuff like that. Is there like mercury and stuff like that? Because I know a lot of things they cut out mercury and stuff in a lot of products and stuff like that, but is something like that in the water or in some of our
tons of chemicals in our water, and they all do our body some harm. So that's why you need to get your report, and you can go to EWG and look them up. And there's an entire section in the EWG website that's just about water and what's in our water and what it's doing to us. So I want to encourage you all to own your own health and do research, because knowledge is power. And the more knowledgeable you are, the more you can keep yourself healthy and your families healthy and your children healthy.
Yeah.
So it's really important.
Now, we talked about food, but what about like over-the-counter drugs? What are they doing to our guts and livers and our long-term health?
Yeah, that's also not pretty. There is a pretty intensive chapter in my book about over-the-counter drugs. I was a person who was allergic to aspirin, which meant I also never took Aleve and the Advil, because my body couldn't handle it from when I was a child. So I always took a lot of Tylenol. Well, Tylenol is really hard on the liver. And so guess what part of my body is the most painful right now? It's my liver, and all of the toxins that go into my body have to go through my liver to get out of my body, and my liver is not happy about it. And part of that was because of all the Tylenol I've taken over the course of my life. But if the Tylenol hurts the liver, the aspirin, the Nasads, the Aleve, and the Advil, they are all really tough on your gut. And the problem with that is something called leaky gut occurs when all of these things are going into your stomach, which is when little tiny holes get poked into your gut wall, which is only 1 cell thick. And when that happens, things start to go from your gut into your bloodstream that aren't supposed to go. And over-the-counter drugs are a big reason that this happens. And that's where autoimmune starts to happen, because these things start to go into our blood, and our immune system goes, hey, what is that? Attack. And then it mimics tissues in our other areas of our body. So it might mimic the tissue in your thyroid, and then you have autoimmune disease of the thyroid, or it might mimic your joints, and then you get rheumatoid arthritis, or it might mimic your muscles, and then you have fibromyalgia. Wherever your weakness is what these little food particles start to mimic, and your immune system goes into overdrive, and it can't control itself from not only attacking the particle, but also whatever part of your body that particle is mimicking. So that's where the illness comes from. So you don't want to be using all of these over-the-counter drugs, because they're creating havoc in your gut, which is eventually going to create havoc in your body. Antibiotics, we've had way too many in our lives. That doesn't mean I just ended up in the hospital with diverticulitis 2 weeks ago, so I had to go on an antibiotic. But the problem with antibiotics is, number one, you start to be resistant to them, and so they don't work like they used to. And the second thing is, they're killing all the good gut bacteria at the same time that they're killing the bad gut bacteria. So if at all possible, you don't want to just get a cold and go to the doctor and ask for an antibiotic. You want to save the antibiotics when your body absolutely has to have it. And then you want to rebuild the good gut bacteria back up. You can do that with some of the foods that you eat. You can eat fermented foods. You also have to feed the good bacteria in your small intestine. So you need to eat things like jicama that feed the good bacteria down on the second level of your gut. It's a whole thing, but you have to make sure that you keep a good balance of good gut bacteria in your gut so that you stay healthy. And the stomach is now called, your gut is now called the second brain, because it orchestrates a lot of things that go on in your body that are a tune-up while you're sleeping. So your brain is important, but so is your gut. And so you have to protect them both. And if you don't protect your gut, it eventually also impacts your brain. Things like glyphosate, that stuff they're spraying all over our crops, there's new studies that show it's doing all kinds of terrible things to our brains, which is one of the reasons that we're getting Alzheimer's and dementia. So you want to make sure that you aren't doing anything that's poisoning the well.
Well, it's also doing a lot more than that.
Yeah. So what do we use? What do I use since I don't use over-the-counter drugs? Believe it or not, I use natural things that my body actually likes. If I have a headache or I wake up with a lot of pain, since I do have a lot of disease, I use curcumin, which is the active ingredient from turmeric. And believe it or not, it does the trick for me. I was taking a ton of hay fever medication. I was taking Benadryl. I was taking 2 every morning and 2 every night. And then I read a report that Benadryl was now connected to Alzheimer's. So I started to research, and I found another antioxidant. Curcumin is an antioxidant. The other antioxidant I found is called quercetin. Quercetin does a better job at keeping my hay fever in check than my hay fever medications ever did. So there are natural things that I talk about in my book that are just wonderful ways to trade out the things that are harming your body for things that help your body and do the same trick.
Yeah.
I found an entire line of wonderful things that replace all of the Vaseline and the petroleum jelly products in your medicine cabinet, because they're not good for you either. They're from the petroleum industry. And there's a company making products just like those with avocado oil. So your body's happy when you use them, but they have the same benefits as the old product. So there's lots of things you can do in your medicine cabinet. I have a totally different medicine box for when I catch a cold that are all natural, that my body likes without taking any of the over-the-counter cold medications. And I went through the flu as fast as possible, and much better than most of my friends who were using the old medications. So there are alternatives to all of this. And again, if you want to know this in depth, you can either go read my blog. There's a whole one on what do you do when you have a cold and your flu, or you can buy my book where it's more in depth in terms of antacids and everything else that you buy over there.
Yeah, well, with all the stuff that the pharmaceutical companies put in medication nowadays, it's because we're told on the TV that like Aleve is good for heart attacks and stuff like that, but people just watch that and they don't actually look at the ingredients that they put in some of this stuff. Even talking about over-the-counter medication, but even stuff that our doctors might even prescribe to us.
Right. There's a book that I strongly recommend. I did not write it, but I think it's a great book, and it's called Drug Buggers. And it's about any of the medications that we take that are prescription and what good it is doing, and a lot of times they're doing a lot of good, and then what it's depriving our body of. I'm very low in vitamin C in my body, and it ends up because I am type 2 diabetic, which is also now considered an autoimmune disease. I take something called metformin, and metformin is a good drug. There's not a lot of downside to it, but it depletes my body of vitamin C. So there's a connection between taking the one and what it's doing to the other. So I take a lot of vitamin C to compensate for that. So if you're on any serious prescriptions, you might want to buy the book and look up what it's doing for you and what it's taking out of your body, so that when you go see your doctor, you can be a part of the conversation, which I think is important.
Yeah.
You need to be your own advocate and be informed.
Yeah, well, like me, I love oranges. I love that vitamin C. So with eating a lot of oranges and stuff like that, it helps with that. And of course, when we talked earlier about the pesticides being on, but with stuff like with the hard shell, like more of a harder shell with the like avocados and oranges.
Oranges are safer than many of things. Yeah, they are.
But I realized eating the oranges and stuff like that actually helps, not only with my vitamin C, but it also helps with my health and everything like that. And like I said before,
it's very good for you. The more real food you eat, the better off you are. You want to eat a lot of real food. Your body thrives on real food. So eating a lot of oranges and citrus is really good for you. So anytime you can eat real food, not processed food, not fast food, not even canned goods, because they have a lot of what's called BPA in them, which is fracking with our hormones. You want to be eating real food as close to the farm as possible.
yeah, and a lot of places don't. They're living in like big cities like Los Angeles and stuff like that, which I'm 60 miles east of Los Angeles, but a lot of people they're in those big cities and they don't know how to find that. Yeah.
I am very close to Pasadena, but we have tons of farmer markets. We're very blessed here.
Yeah.
I don't have a hard time finding farm to table, but I know that there's a lot of areas in the country where that's not so easy. So you just have to still concentrate on getting a lot of vegetables. 3/4 of your plate at each meal should be vegetable. And preferably half of them should be raw, because there are special enzymes that you get from raw vegetables that you don't get once they're cooked. So you want to make sure you keep feeding your body things that will make it feel good. And that's the most important thing you can do so that you live long and die with a smile on your face.
All right.
Trust me, you don't want to go to the pain place that I went to. It wasn't very pretty.
Yeah. Well, now I had a listener ask about the flu shot and everything like that, because we were talking before the show about this nasty flu bug that's been going around and everything like that. And is there ways that we can help protect ourselves by eliminating the toxins in our life, our food and stuff like that, to help keep us from getting it?
I think that the flu shot is a personal decision. So I don't want to tell you that you should not take the flu shot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of evidence that shows that it's really important so that you don't get the flu. I have been loaded with heavy toxic metals, and I just finished doing a toxic metal detox. So I elected personally not to get the flu shot because I don't want the mercury that's in the flu shot put back into my body. That's a personal decision. You need to discuss it with your doctor and get their opinion, and then you need to read, and then you need to make a decision. I have a whole bunch of things that I take when I'm starting to feel like I'm getting a cold, all of which are holistic. I take something called Coldies. I pronounce it wrong. They laugh at me when I go to buy it. I take something called osteosyllabilium. They're little white pellets that you put under your tongue when you're first starting to catch a cold that just sort of pop your immune system into action so that it helps you not get it. I take Echinacea golden seal, which have shown to be very useful with colds and flus. I take something called elderberry. It's been shown that elderberry with Echinacea is as strong a medication as taking Tamiflu. I never took Tamiflu, so I don't know exactly what that means.
Yeah.
But I know it's a big boost to your immune system, and it helps. I use natural honey as local as possible if I have a cough, because that not only helps that he's been collecting pollen from my local area, so he helps with my hay fever, but he also helps when I have a cough to soothe my throat. So natural honey is good in small amounts because sugar is sugar, so you want to be careful not to eat the whole bottle. I have a cough drop that I love from a company called Zand, Z-A-N-D, that are orange, and they are sweetened with brown rice sugar. and they work as well for me as any cough drop ever worked. So I have this, and I have a whole blog on what to use when you have a cold or the flu on my website that I strongly recommend you go find and you print, because those are the things that I keep in my medicine box, and you want to buy them ahead of time, because once you start getting sick, you don't want to be running all over town looking for this stuff. You want to just be able to take it and knock it out. So, but you don't have to take all the nasty over-the-counter drugs that are available when you get sick, because there are alternatives that will make your body happy.
Yeah, like I said, the whole reason why I never get the flu shot, I had to when I was in the military. They made us, of course, but they test everything, but on the soldiers and stuff like that. But just when I found out all the stuff that they put in, like the mercury and stuff like that into the flu shot, like you said, it's a personal decision, but I made the decision. I don't want to put that stuff in my body.
Yeah, I don't want to tell any of your listeners to follow what I do.
Yeah.
Because I'm swimming upstream for what people think should be happening. But I think you should research on your own, talk to your doctor, and make a decision.
Now,
and
go ahead.
Can we talk about cosmetics?
Yeah, let's get into that.
There's almost been no regulation with cosmetics. There was a law that passed in, I think, 1932, because they were actually putting rat poison in mascara, and some woman died.
Yeah.
So they decided maybe they should pass a law that said that, you shouldn't do that, and you're kind of held responsible for what you're putting into cosmetics yourself. I was buying really expensive cosmetics, and when I researched them, there's a big database on EWG, so you can look up all of the products that you're using, and if your product isn't there, you can go and look up the ingredients one by one. Well, literally, I was poisoning myself with what I was using. And you have to remember, skin is the largest organ in your body. So when we put things on our skin that are toxic, they really tax our body by going through our skin. They have to come out either through our lungs or through our kidneys, and they're just loaded with toxins that our bodies can't handle. So I went on a search for cosmetics that would not poison me, and there's a ton of ingredients in cosmetics that are bad for you. It's a big, long list. Again, if you buy my book, I list all the ingredients that are the worst of them, but there are lines that are coming out now that are very low in toxins, and I note which ones I'm using, but there are lots of new lines coming out that are healthy. There's a new line called Beauty Counter that's out that's all very low in toxins. I use something called Well People, that it's W3LL People, that's all ones or twos on the scale. You want to make sure that you get things that are very low in toxins, because your skin will absorb everything you put on it, and you don't want to be getting all your toxins through your skin. So it's important.
Yeah, well, no, I've heard that they still do it to this day. There's a lot of rat poison stuff that's put in rat poison that is put into the products that we use, like makeup and stuff.
Rat poison's gone, but there's all kinds of lone chemicals that are put into our cosmetics, and they're all synthetic ingredients, and they're not good for us. There was a new law passed last year by Dianne Feinstein that controls it just a hair more and puts a little more responsibility on the cosmetic company. But this is another place where, as a woman, you need to own it yourself and research it. Little things like, for 20 years, my head was itchy, and I didn't know why my head was always itchy. Well, it ends up I was allergic to my shampoo. So I have found a shampoo that's a 1 on the EWG scale, and so my head's not itchy anymore, because all of those toxic ingredients are gone.
Yeah, well, one thing...
Some of the things that are really toxic are things like suntan lotion or and bug lotions, because we got a problem with mosquitoes and with ticks and all of that. So you need to use some things that are not so hot. DEET is even recommended by EWG, because even though it's a neurotoxin, it kills the mosquitoes and the ticks. but I use, when I'm not in a tick area, so that's a good thing. But when I'm out around mosquitoes, we do have some West Nile out here in California.
Yeah.
Then I use something called tea tree oil because the mosquitoes don't like the smell of it. And I got to admit, my husband doesn't like the smell of it. Hey, it protects me, so what the heck?
All right,
so
well,
I use tea tree oil.
We're going to go into the commercial break here, but we'll be back with more talking about eliminating toxins from our bodies and your phone calls after if you want to call into the show. The phone lines will be open right after this commercial break. We'll be right back.
Old-time talk shows, then you must tune in to Night Dreams Talk Radio. UFOs to Bigfoot, did we say black-eyed children? You'll find Night Dreams Talk Radio on TuneIn, iHeart, iTunes, and all the major apps. But on TuneIn, they're live 7 to 9 p.m. West Coast time starting in February. With all the major guests, Night Dreams.
Do you have an interest in the paranormal? Well, tune in every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Pacific on the Talk in the Night Facebook page for Ask Paranormal Phil. The show is a Facebook Live show where he gets into different topics about the paranormal and answers your questions. That's Ask Paranormal Phil every Tuesday night, only on the Talk in the Night Facebook page.
Do you have a talk radio, Facebook Live, or YouTube show and would like guests for your show but don't know where to go to get them? Well, go to radioguestlist.com and sign up today. They have all different experts in different fields and you can find the ones that are just right for your show. That's radioguestlist.com. Sign up today. It's free.
Growing up, parents got me a guitar. Said you could do anything, kid, you could go far. You could be the president, fireman, race cars. The sky's the limit, kid, so shoot for the stars. So I strummed that guitar every day. Found the passion for music never went away. I joined a couple bands and played a few shows. Tried to impress the girl in the front row. But soon enough, everything starts to change. As you grow up, nobody treats you the same. They try to take your future and make it real safe. You could be a doctor, accountant, or something sane.
To call into the show, Skype Paranormal Phil, or by phone at 951-223-5055. And now, back to Talk in the Night with your host, Paranormal Phil.
Okay, we are back with the second hour of the show. Phone lines are open, just in case you missed the phone lines. The call-in numbers are by Skype Paranormal Phil, or by phone at 951-223-5055. If you got a question for my guest, call in and feel free to ask. Now, we were talking before the break about like shampoos and stuff like that, but during the break we were talking about like body washes.
Right, the same company. The company is called Keys Soap, and she was the girlfriend. She's now the wife. She got skin cancer. And then when she came out the other end of that, everything bothered her. Everything annoyed her skin. She was miserable. And her husband was one of the big tech people in Silicon Valley, and he quit his job, and they developed a line that are all ones on the EWG scale. And it includes face creams and body wash and shampoo and facial soap, all of the things that you could need. And then they also make this line that replaces all of the petroleum jelly products, only they are using an avocado oil as their basis. I love these products. They're pure. They're all ones on the EWG scale. My body loves them. I have terrible dry skin. That's all gone away. My skin is happy. My head is happy. What a difference a product without toxins in it makes. It's huge.
Because I got a listener that says she uses like Aveeno for dry skin and stuff like that. And of course, out here in California and the Southwest, you can get a lot of dry skin.
Right. Well, we deal with the heavy sun all the time. But I also love to take hot baths at night, and that dries out my skin. So keeping my skin moist is important because I do some wrong things that, it's very relaxing for me, so it's good for my stress level, but it's not always so good for my skin. So using good products that are toxin-free is a big thing. Now, the woman who uses the Aveeno, I don't know if that's a good product to use or not, but I encourage her to go to EWG and look it up, and it'll tell her if it's good. I thought I was using a lot of products that were going to be very well rated on their scale, and they ended up not being. So it just behooves you to be informed and take the time and look them up and make sure that they are what you think they are, no matter who's producing them.
Yeah, it's always good to do research into the stuff because, like I've mentioned about the cheese and stuff like that, it wasn't until I had the cheese with the oil in it that I found out that it makes me really ill and stuff like that. And then I started, every time that I would buy cheese, I would look at the price just to make sure that it didn't have that oil in it. And we need to look at some of the ingredients in the price, not just food, but in like skincare and stuff like that. What's on the bottom?
Everything. You need to become familiar. And again, my rule is if I can't pronounce it, I don't buy it. So it's served me well because if you stay away from all those synthetic chemicals, then you're much better off. And they even make synthetic chemicals. A lot of processed food, there's no food value to it at all. The same thing with fast food. And what they've actually done is created ingredients that have no food value, but that taste really good and that hook you in so that you want more. So you want to even know what's in your processed food, you want to know what's in your fast food, and you want to stay away from it as much as possible because it's not real food, so it's not giving your body anything to function on. And the whole point of food should be giving our body the right fuel so that it can be healthy to function, so that we have strong brains and strong bodies so that we can function in our world.
Yeah. Well, I know, like me, I do a lot of cooking. I love to cook. So I cook my own food. I used to be the way where I would like to go out and eat quite a bit, but I figure I can eat healthier when I'm cooking my own food rather than going out and buying all the...
You control what you put in your own body if you cook your own food. And really, you can make more delicious food when you cook your own food. So it's really important to cook. I strongly encourage everybody to cook. And it doesn't have to be a huge thing. I go into the kitchen at 6 o'clock every night, and I serve dinner at 7. And in that time, I'm busily cleaning up and doing all kinds of stuff while I'm cooking the food. It doesn't have to be a major production, but you do need to control what you're putting into your food and what you're cooking with so that you, again, are staying healthy. So cooking is critical. It's a big step towards health.
Yeah. Now, we talked about food products and we talked about drugs and skin product and products for our bodies and everything like that. Now, what about because I mentioned that I was a smoker and you mentioned that you're a smoker that doesn't need to smoke, chooses not to smoke.
Oh no, I would love to smoke. I just don't.
Yeah. Now.
I knew it was making me sick. I knew it was making my body sick, and since I had so much pain, it just left. I don't bother to smoke anymore. So I call myself a smoker who chooses not to smoke.
Yeah. Now, what are because I know that of course, with the whole law of the having to put the labels on there, what's in the cigarettes, or they might cause cancer and other stuff. What are some of the the toxins and stuff like that? Because I'm not talking about just like cigarettes, but even like vapor.
Yeah, I can't really answer that. Somebody on another show asked me if it was okay to vapor, and when the show was over, I sent him a lot of the research that I picked up that shows that it's not good for you at all. Whenever you're putting chemicals into your body, it's doing harm. So you need to keep that in mind, because you don't want to be putting things into your body that are going to harm it, because in the end it's going to catch up with you. And it's the whole thing about toxins is it's all about toxic load. So as your toxic load gets greater and greater, you're going to end up with a lot of pain, and whether it's autoimmune disease or it's cancer or it's Alzheimer's or it's Parkinson's, something's going to go haywire, and you don't want to go there. So cigarettes, the big surprise was when I was smoking, I always thought I was doing just my lung harm. Well, that's not really true. The residue of the cigarettes were everywhere in my body, and one of the reasons I was so loaded with heavy toxic metals was because of my years of smoking. One of the heavy toxic metals I was loaded with was cadmium, which is a real insidious metal that burrows into your bones, and just when it starts to leach out into your body, it makes you sick. So you know there's chemicals when you're smoking. So yes, you could research them and find out what they all are, but the bottom line is, you know they're not good for you.
Yeah.
So you need to stop smoking. And vaping doesn't help. It's just a different set of chemicals.
Yeah, it's a liquid form rather than... I'm pretty sure that they use a lot of like a liquid, because I've heard that, like, when I was talking about the rat poison and stuff like that, I think it was, now that I think about it, they use a kind of chemical that's used in rat poison when they produce the tobacco for the cigarettes.
Well, and the vaping cigarettes still have a lot of nicotine in them. They're saying that the advantage is some of the other chemicals are gone. But even the nicotine is not good for you. So I strongly recommend that anything you put in your body, you do judiciously so that it's good for your body. And those things are not. Yeah.
Now, because I know, like I said, I tried to quit because my dad died of COPD, or massive coronary heart attack, but one of the causes was the COPD from the smoking.
Right. And you watched him, so you know what a difficult death that was. It was long and probably painful.
Yeah. Now, on your website, you mentioned ants. What is ants?
What are
ants? We're not talking about the animal.
We're not talking about that. They're insidious, just like the real little ants. There's a doctor named, he's here in California. His name is Dr. Daniel Amen. He is often on PBS. He is a brain doctor who takes pictures of everybody's brain. He's been doing lots of research on the effects of injuries in football and what they're doing to the brain. Well, he coined the phrase ants, which are anxious negative thoughts. In other words, it's anxiety. And anxiety does our body a whole lot of harm. So it's important that you tame those little beasts and you get them under control. And sometimes it comes from feelings where you have a lack of self-worth. So they have all this worry and anxiety going on in your mind. I give you all kinds of ways to tame the beast. Interestingly enough, my mother had a lot of worry, which I inherited, and some of mine actually ended up being inherited. So there was a supplement that I took called Trancor by Metagenics that just calmed me down. But I also learned to do some writing exercise when my mind was going wild and all those little ants were everywhere, where you write down your negative thoughts and then you argue with them. And you write down positive thoughts next to them. And you keep going back and forth until the negative starts to go away. And what I call it is that you take all those negative thoughts and you allow your inner champion to come out to protect you until they're gone. But it's building up your self-esteem, it's learning how to feel good about yourself, and it's learning to let go of all that anxiety, because stress and anxiety cause leaky gut, which causes chronic illness. So it all ties together, even though it's not an environmental toxin or something that you're eating. They're toxins of the mind, so it's really important that you control them because they're not good for you.
Yeah, now, I mean, with those negative thoughts, that is a lot of what is causing our stress, and is there, and the toxins and stuff like that, and everyday products that help contribute to that stress. But by cutting out these,
we're really not nice to ourselves. We seem to think that whatever our mind is telling us is real, and trust me, a lot of what your mind is telling you is not true. And so you need to write it down so that you can look at it and go, hey, mind, why are you saying that to me? Because that's simply not true. And that was actually an exercise I learned. I used to be a store manager for a department store here. We went through something called an investment in excellence. And they actually taught us to take a look at all those nasty thoughts in our mind that weren't true, write them down, and then do an exercise where you would say, hey, mind, why would you say that about me? Because I know that's not true. And you say that every time that thought comes up until that thought goes away. Eventually that thought will dissipate into thin air because you've told your mind you're not going to put up with it, and it's not true. So you need to argue with those thoughts because your mind will tell you a lot of stuff that's not true, and you don't need to believe it.
yeah, now, the stress, like I said, I deal with a lot of stress, especially working at an amusement park, because you get the guests that are rude and stuff like that, and
whenever you work with the public, you get
yeah,
people, good people, and people who are
yeah, but I've learned to just kind of brush it off, take the deep breaths and everything like that, and I think by cooking better, cooking healthier food and stuff like that, and everything like that, and trying to eliminate a lot of the toxins from my body, it's helped me relieves the stress. And but the only thing is trying to.
I have something like 36 ideas on how to reduce stress in your body, but the biggie for me is that breathing exercise that we did earlier in the show, where you breathe in for 4, you hold it for 7, and then you breathe out for 8. I can significantly lower my pulse when I do that. So I try to do it twice a day just to release whatever the stress is that I've accumulated up to that point, and then I can go back. It's also good once an hour to get up for 1 minute and to move. That will release a tremendous amount of stress. You can't be sitting in one place all day long. You got to get up and move. And it doesn't have to be for a long time, but if you get up and move once an hour for 1 minute, it's terrific because your body will be grateful, and it will release your stress and your anxiety at the same time just because you're moving.
Yeah. Now, what is like the stress doing to our bodies?
Well, stress does a couple of things. I used to think stress was really good for me because it made me get more done. But I was in a constant state of being chased by a tiger. And our bodies aren't, we were created so that we could run away from a tiger, but we're not supposed to be doing that 24/7. And so what happened to my body is that I depleted some of my hormones. The big one was cortisol. I depleted my cortisol so that it wasn't quite to disease state, but it just wasn't being there to be able to help my body. And there's something that creates cortisol called DHEA, and I got so low on cortisol, I also depleted all my DHEA, which was my storage to make more cortisol, and all of that impacts the gut, and that stress and that hormone imbalance is one of the big causes of leaky gut, which then again causes chronic illness and pain. So stress over time is not a good thing because it impacts your gut and it impacts and creates chronic illness. So it's very important. There are lots of ways that you can reduce your stress. One of the biggies is laughter. Laughter reduces stress.
Oh yeah, right? I tried to. Well, a lot of times while I'm at work, I tried to torment. I torment people, but a lot of times it's in a good way because I make them laugh. I like it. There's a ride that I operate. There's no seatbelts there, but they're trying to push down the lap bar, and I tell them it's gonna lock in a moment, but you might want to make sure you got your seatbelt. And they look down, and they realize there's no seatbelt, but they laugh and everything like that. It's a good torment rather than the bad, scary torment, which I do only on Halloween. But
you see things. I bet you do a good job at tormenting on Halloween.
Oh, I do. Halloween is my Christmas.
I bet.
But no, I do that just because people realize that I'm joking with them, and they laugh, and that laughter helps with not only their stress but my stress and everything like that. And of course, there's that old saying, laughter is the best medicine.
And you want to do things that take care of you. I mentioned that I like to take a bath every night. I take an Epsom salt bath with some argan oil and some rosemary. And that's a great way for me to end my day because it soothes my body and releases my stress. But there's lots of ways that you can reduce your stress. You can just stop and walk around the block, which will reduce your stress.
Yeah, I think
so. There's all kinds of ideas that you can reduce your stress, and it's really important to keep yourself long-term healthy.
Yeah, no, like before this, like 2 hours before the show, I went out and took a mile walk, just because I knew I didn't want to be sitting down all this time and just relaxing and let my body just sit. And I wanted to get the blood pumping in my body, so that way it made me more active rather than just wanting to feel like, oh, I'm tired. and
it energizes you because you got out.
And of course, it was a warm night here in Southern California, so. But yeah, no, the exercise, our bodies need that not only to be healthy free from the toxins and everything like that, but the exercise helps work that out of our system too.
Well, I'm somebody who never really liked to exercise, and so there is a chapter in my book about how to relieve what I call toxic lack of movement. It's really important that you move your body, especially as you start to age like I am, because you need to keep your resistance, your flexibility, and your aerobic, your heartbeat at a really good level. And there are lots of different ways to exercise. You don't have to be a runner. You don't have to be a cyclist. I ended up doing something which is a Tao form of yoga, which does do all three forms of exercise. We do resistance, we do stretching, and we get aerobic. And I like it, because there's a community there. I really like the people in the class. So if I get to know who I'm going to play with, I'm always happier to go. But exercise is really an important part of health as well. It's important mentally. It releases stress. It's important physically because your body needs to stay flexible and have resistance and have a good heart. So toxic lack of movement is also one of the toxins that I discuss in my book. And it's a biggie. I also, because I do something, I have a little what I call my mini trampoline in my living room, which is a rebounder. And I rebound so that I can get my lymph system to remove all the toxins that is gathered up around all my cells out of my body. The heart has its own motor, so the heart is its own motor, so it has its own form to make circulation work, but the lymph system is very busy working and cleaning out all the garbage around your cells, but it doesn't have its own motor. So you need to help it so that it can flush all of those toxins out through your pancreas and your spleen and then get them out of your body. So I jump on my mini trampoline. I take country western music, and for a half an hour, like 4 times a week, and you don't have to even jump very high. You just have to wiggle on it because that gets all of the crud to move through your body and allows your lymph system to do its job and get rid of toxins. And I really kind of enjoy it now for somebody who hates to move. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, because like I mentioned about my before the show that I got a bad back. I'm 30% disabled for my lower back and everything like that, and sometimes the pain is to where I don't feel like moving, but once I get out and stretch a little bit and everything like that, it helps relieve the pain and everything like that. And of course, as I get older, I'm finding that it's getting a little bit harder to move, but not too bad, because I get out there and try to keep myself active, because I know if I'm gonna sit around, I'm gonna be 400 pounds, which I'm at 6'2", and I think last time I was weighed in December, I think it was about 205. But there was a time.
Good weight for your height, then.
But there was a time that I was up to over 220 pounds. Because I was eating a lot of that bad food, and once I realized that this stuff is just making me bigger, I got a gut that I can't seem to get rid of, but
I'm glad we're talking about this, because I did another blog that I highly recommend that people read about how to lose weight, because I don't believe in dieting. I believe that if you eat the right foods and you eliminate the toxins and you're eating lots of fresh vegetables that are organic, when your body comes in balance and starts running like a conducted symphony, the weight comes off all by itself. And it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. It's a long-term lifestyle. And so you're never going to buy another New York Times bestseller book, because you're going to eat right in the first place, and your body wants to go back to its norm, and it wants to be healthy, and it wants to be at a good weight. And so, if you add in some movement and you keep some flexibility and you're eating good food that your body can use and utilize to keep you healthy, it happens automatically. You don't have to be following this diet and that diet.
Which there's a lot of them out there.
One of my first clients wanted to lose 25 pounds, and she had a girlfriend that wanted to lose 25 pounds with her. But she wanted to try losing it my way, and her girlfriend wanted to go on whatever the latest bestseller book was. And so in the beginning, my client was a little frustrated because her friend was losing weight faster than she was. But after 2 months, my client had lost 20 pounds, and her friend had gained 10. So
wow.
It's a long-term eating plan. You just get into and your body's happy when it's eating good food. So the longer you do it, the better you feel, and the easier it is to stick to it. It's not about willpower. It's about eating good stuff. And so in the end, her friend did not lose weight. She gained weight. And eating the way I was recommending in the end was the right thing for my client to do. So it was an interesting kind of experiment, and I'm right. This is how it works.
Yeah,
but I told you my husband's lost 70 pounds since we've been together because he's eating good food all the time.
Yeah, and I believe that's what is holding a lot of us back, is that bad food that we're putting into our bodies. A lot of people go out and they just don't have the time. They stop at fast food and everything like that, and we're just running day to day, just trying to get through this world, and we're not taking the time to actually take care of our bodies.
Well, my next book is actually going to be How Do I Live This Way? If I'm out and I haven't brought food with me, what do I do to eat without going through fast food? I go to a Whole Foods or a Sprouts or a healthy grocery store, and I buy Applegate organic cold cuts, and some lettuce, and I make my own, and a tomato, and I make my own little lettuce roll, and voila. It took me no longer than sitting in a line at a fast food place, but I'm getting real food to put into my body that keeps my body happy. So it's just a little different way of looking at things, and it's a little better planning. But it can be done, and it's just second nature to me now. It doesn't interrupt my life. I am a very busy person. I still have a business that I'm running. I am taking health coaches. I'm taking clients on for my health coaching. I'm marketing my book. My days are full, but I still eat well all the time because that's just the way I live now.
Yeah.
Now, I will agree, I'm motivated because I don't ever want to go back to how horrible I felt that morning when I woke up and everything hurt. I never want to go back to that. So I'm highly motivated to continue eating this way. But I have a saying, you don't want to wait until you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. You want to start eating this way now so that you don't get to where I was.
Yeah, and I know a lot of my coworkers are young and everything like that, and they're not to the point where I am, where it's where I got like the back pain and everything like that. They're still young enough to where they can actually change their life around, and hopefully some of them listen to this podcast and everything like that to help them understand by eating all this bad food and everything like that, it's tearing my body apart.
I actually find that millennials are pretty receptive to my message because they're watching their aging parents get sick. Their aging parents will come. I speak to local hospitals and churches around here, and people will walk right in and say, you're going to tell me I got to change how I eat, and I'm not going to do it. And I said, you know something? I don't care because just start somewhere. There's lots of places you can start to eliminate toxins because it's about toxic load. And as you feel better, you'll want to eliminate more and more toxins. But their kids, they see their parents and they don't want to go there. So when I'm talking, their little ears perk right up because they know that if they don't pay attention to this, they're all going to be sick. And this world is much more highly toxic than it was when I was their age. And we have a real problem with our kids being sick because of all of these toxins. The statistics are kind of frightening. 1 in 12 has food allergies. 1 in 3 is overweight. 54% of all of our children have a chronic illness or are overweight now. And it's because of all of these toxins. So the millennials are seeing that. They have some health issues of their own. And if they can do something about it, they're willing to change. Whereas people my age are a little bit less willing to try to change because they don't want to give up all that yummy food that they've been eating. But little do they know that they can make yummy food that's good for them, which they can.
Yeah.
It's just a different way of looking at things.
All right. Well, we're
Not depressed.
All right. Well, we're going to go into the final commercial break of the show. We'll be back with more about eliminating toxins in our body and from our lives with my guest, Cheryl Meyers. We'll be right back.
Give me some time and you'll see me up on stage somehow. I'm working every day. I'm working hella late. I'm working cause it's worth it. Once you make it, then you play. I'm never slowing down. I'm gonna own this town. Live by the saying that your time is lost but never found. Let's go another round. Make them give up the crown. Nah, I ain't playing, man, I'll take it, so just give it now. Yeah, I'm gonna work hard, play hard. Yeah, I play my first card, ace hard. Yeah, they know I play smart, play hard. We don't have the same star, we don't have the same cards. Yeah, it's not the hand that you dealt. Nah, it's how you prove it to yourself. Nah, you don't need any wealth. Gotta live your life, work hard and excel. Yeah, don't be looking for their help. Look inside of yourself for the wealth. Keep your mind and your body in good health.
Do you want to know how to attract love, money, jobs, success? Well, check out livelifemadeToOrder.com. If you go to the products page and mention Talking the Night, you will get 50% off of your order. That's livelifemadeToOrder.com.
Be sure to check out the show's website at talkingthenight.weebly.com for some great content such as Story of the Day, This Day in History, and much more. Also, if you missed the show, check out the show's archive page under the radio show tab where you can find all the shows listed. And be sure to sign up for the Talking the Night newsletter. Do you have a paranormal team? Are you a small-time author? Do you have a radio show that you would like to promote? Is there anything that you would like to get the word out there about but don't have a big budget? Well, Talking the Night has an opportunity for you to sponsor the show without breaking your wallet. Contact the show at talkingthenight@outlook.com or on the show's website or Facebook page for more details.
People gonna keep on talking about me, but they don't understand the work that I do when they're not around me. They don't understand the life I
To call into the show, Skype Paranormal Phil, or by phone at 951-223-5055. And now, back to Talking the Night with your host, Paranormal Phil.
Okay, and we're into the last segment of the show. Phone lines are open if you want to call into the show. Ask my guest, Cheryl Meyers, if I can talk tonight. Cheryl Meyers, any question about any of the stuff that we talked about? Now, I wanted to ask, because a lot of the stuff like you're talking about, fruits and vegetables and stuff like that, organic fruits and vegetables, and there's that whole thing with people saying vegetarian is good, whereas meat eaters are good, the back and forth and stuff like that. Is there any real difference in the two?
I don't really care if a client of mine wants to be eat meat or if they want to be vegan. Vegan, I think it's called. The vegan is an issue because you need to get your protein from somewhere. So soy is 90% genetically modified. So if you're willing to find the organic soy, and that's where you get your protein, you can also get protein from your beans and other areas. That's great. As long as the rule is 75% of your plate should be vegetables. Half of those should be cooked and half of those should be raw. Now, I choose to eat paleo, which means I eat clean milk. Clean milk. Clean milk. Clean meat. But then my rule is you don't eat more than enough that would be a deck of cards, because you don't need a whole lot of meat. I need meat because I need the vitamin B12, because I actually have a little anomaly to my DNA called the MTHFR anomaly, so that I don't detox and I don't have enough vitamin B12 and folate in my body, and meat provides that for me. But it doesn't matter. You need to get your protein source, and it shouldn't be more than a quarter of your plate each meal. Other than that, you need all the great vegetables, because that's what's going to fuel your body. So I don't care which way you go, as long as you do it consciously and with as few toxins as possible.
Okay, now I do have questions coming in from the listeners and the almost said viewers, but I'm not doing the Facebook Live until tomorrow. But no, I do have questions coming in from the listeners in the chat. Now, one person wears like the copper fit braces and stuff like that, or the copper, and is that doing anything to help our bodies, or is it?
In all honesty, I don't know. I know that there's a lot of people who wear them. They seem to think that they help them. it's not a avenue that I have explored or that I have adopted. So I really don't know.
Now, could it be
So-
possibly maybe a mindset like with eliminating the toxins? If we get that mindset that this stuff is bad for us, then it might help us, or it'll help us.
The mind is very powerful, so whatever our mind starts to believe is where it does in some ways lead our body. But there probably is some scientific evidence on the copper bracelets. So I would suggest that you start doing some research. I encourage you that you have a curious mind and you research anything that you really want to know about. Because, I wrote the book. Everything in my book was available on the internet. The problem was it took me 5 years to find all this information.
Yeah.
But something like copper, you can get in there and you can research and you can read. And you're going to pull up more than one side of the coin. And that's good because you need to consider all of the arguments from all the different sides and then make a decision. And each one of us is different. And so bioindividuality is going to plug in. And so you need to experiment. And first you need to get the knowledge, and then you need to experiment, and then you need to let your body vote.
Yeah, well, it's a lot easier to do research nowadays than it was back when we were kids.
Good, yes.
Because we had to go to the library.
Hours there.
Yeah.
Hours and hours and hours there. This is a lot easier.
Yeah. Now, on that other show that I was talking about, everything like that, they asked about beer and stuff like that, the gluten and stuff like that in beer. Is it good for us? But I had a guess as about wine.
Generally, it is considered that wine is healthy. However, they are discovering massive amounts of glyphosate that have been sprayed on our grapes. Whether they're California grapes, probably more if they're California grapes. U.S. grapes are sprayed more heavily with glyphosate than like French wines, because we just came back from France. We were there in September, and they are not doing all of this heavy toxic spraying on their food that we're doing here. In fact, they were kind of appalled, because if they do spray things, or if things are genetically modified, they are well labeled in France. So you're probably safer drinking a French wine, I hate to say this, than our California wines, unless it's organic, because again, you're getting all those nasty chemicals in the wine. Red wine is generally considered to be healthier than white wine, but even as a diabetic, I was told that I could have a glass of wine maybe 3 times a week. So wine is not bad for you. Beer, on the other hand, is loaded with gluten, and our bodies simply are not prepared to handle the gluten molecule. It's bigger than what our bodies can handle, and again, it is often a cause of leaky gut, which means that gluten, whether it's in your bread or it's in your beer, it leads to leaky gut, which leads to chronic illness. So beer is probably not a good choice, and organic wine is a much better choice.
Yeah, well, with the wheat and barley that they put in the beer and stuff like that, the ingredients they put in the beer and stuff like that, who knows if they're actually spraying down that stuff to...
Well, the wheat is the wheat is all being sprayed. I mean, literally, it's being doused. You can buy some organic wheat, but most of the wheat is doused, loaded with glyphosate. So you want to stay away from that. But the gluten itself, which is part of the component of the wheat, is something very hard for you to digest, hard for your body to use, and has the downside that it is also not only creating leaky gut, but there just was a whole mind symposium on where it talked about how gluten also is impacting our brains, and they think it might be a possible thing that's leading to Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. So the gluten is heavily in beer, but then we eat a lot of bread and a lot of products that have gluten in them as well. So just cut down on how much you're eating of that, because it long-term is not going to be good for you. And the beer long-term is not going to be good for you.
Yeah, well, I think that's another thing that's kind of helped me is like I said, drinking in moderation. Like I said, I haven't had a beer in over 2 months, but If I do have beer, it's usually just like one beer, like every couple weeks or something like that. But like I said, I haven't had something.
There are a lot of people who love their beer.
Yeah, I have quite a few friends that love their alcohol and stuff like that. They just got to have it. But me, I
I
found
don't know if there's such a thing as organic beer. I've never loved it. I've never been a beer drinker.
that might be an interesting.
Don't know.
That might be an interesting prospect for somebody to find a way to make a organic beer. Might actually be good.
Could be. Yep.
I mean, there's the non-alcoholic beer. Why not? So let's get into the book. Where can people find the book?
You can find the book one of two places. It's available on Amazon, and the name of the book is "It Feels Good to Feel Good," and then the byline is "Learn to Eliminate Toxins, Reduce Inflammation, and Feel Great Again." So it feels good to feel good. And then you can also buy it from my website, and I strongly recommend that you go to my website because it's loaded with great information. It's loaded with great blogs, and you can buy the book there. The book is a couple dollars less there. And my website is https://Cheryl with a C, CHERYLM, like Mary, Health, HEALTH, Muse, MUSE.com. And then if you just want to go look at the book, you do /book/. If you go to my book page, you can also download a sampler of my book. So it'll give you an idea of what it would be like to read my book. People tell me reading my book is kind of like having a conversation with me, which is good. It's not highly it's not all about all of the studies and things. It's not all the science, but it's really what I found that helped me turn my health around. And I tell, you're probably going to learn more about me than you ever wanted to know, but I tell little stories throughout the book so that you get to kind of know where I was, why I did what I did, and how it made me feel. Because the whole idea is I want you to feel great again, too. And these are the things I did to feel great again. I also, in the beginning of the book, I explain things. I explain, do you have inflammation? Because I find people all the time who don't know that they have inflammation, so there's a whole checklist. And then I go into, what is a health coach? What is functional medicine? What is inflammation? And what is autoimmune disease? So that you just get sort of grounded in what all of these things that I'm talking about actually are, and then it delves into the toxins that I found in my life. There are also some chapters which we didn't talk about cleaning products.
Yeah, especially with the whole Tide Pod thing going on nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, the pods are the most toxic thing in your house, and if a toddler was to pick them up, whether it was through your dishwasher or your washing machine, it could kill them before you could even get them to emergency. So I have found some wonderful, healthy cleaning products that are plant enzymes, and again, are very low on the EWG toxic scale. And then we also didn't talk about the biggie for me, which was toxic relationships.
Yeah, well, we still got 12.
Relationship.
We still got 12 minutes. We can talk about some of the cleaning products and the toxic relationship.
Okay. I found an incredible product called Branch Basics that is made from plant enzymes. It's a 1 on the EWG scale, and I use it to clean everything. I even do my laundry in it sometimes. I use it to wash my dishes. I use it to clean my bathrooms. I use it to clean my kitchen floor and my counters. The first thing I loved about it when I bought it was I eat a lot of eggs because I'm diabetic and I don't eat a lot of carbohydrates. So I hate the way eggs stick on your pan. And so I learned that if I would spray a little Branch Basic on the pan and walk away for 5 minutes, eggs slided right off, and it was real easy to clean the pan. And that made me sort of pay attention to this new cleaning product and how terrific it is. And it's like an all-purpose cleaner. You can use it for everything. So it's terrific. And you buy it in a concentrate, and then they have instructions for how much water you add for different purposes in your house. It does streak-free window cleaning. It does everything. but I talk about other products too that I use. There are other laundry detergents that I recommend. There are very low toxic dishwashing things that I use. There are great products out there that replace all those terrible toxic things that you're using. So it's important to know what they are. And I think the best thing that I did in the book is I not only identify what's in your world that's toxic, but I tell you what I ended up buying that replaced that item. And if you do end up buying the book from me, I will send you, if you email me, I'll send you a workbook. And the whole idea of the workbook is you print the chapter that you're reading, you write down the things that are in your life that are toxic and what you would replace them with, and then when you run out of it, you replace it with the less toxic item, so that it's something that happens over a period of time and doesn't break the bank. I've had a lot of people say to me, this is just overwhelming, I can't possibly do it. Sure you can, because you do it step by step. And when I was doing it, I was buying all kinds of products I didn't like, and now I have narrowed that down to things that have worked for me. And if you don't like what works for me, you can always go back into EWG and research your own, but it gives you a great starting place to get all those toxins out of your life.
All right, and let's get in real quick, because we got 9 minutes left, but about 4 minutes to talk about it. Let's get into about the toxic relationships.
Well, we all have some relationships in our life that are not healthy. It could be with a parent. It could be with a friend. It could be with an employer. In my case, it was with my love relationship. We had a great relationship for 10 years, and then I didn't realize he was bipolar. And so in the beginning of our relationship, he was always happy. And suddenly he went into the opposite end of that and was not so happy to be around. And we were literally eating our way through Pasadena. He liked to go out to expensive, rich restaurants. And when I found out I had diabetes, which was the first thing that I got, he announced to me one morning that he didn't like it that I was sick. Well, what am I supposed to do with that? And then as I started to go into autoimmune disease, he really didn't like it that I was sick. And so we ended the relationship. Had I still been with him, I don't know that I would have gotten well. I would never have owned my own health. I would never have dug into what was wrong with my body or into all the toxins that were in my life. And as you read, you'll discover all toxic relationships, whether it's your love relationship, it's your parents, it's a friend. They all do your body harm because they're putting your body into stress all the time. And so that's something that's an important block of health that you have to correct in order to get well. And I talk about how the first step is you don't just blow the person off. You sit down and you try to tell them what you need to make the relationship healthy. And then if that can't happen, then you got to walk away because it's literally killing you.
Yeah, well, like with my last guest, we were talking, I mentioned about lack of communication in relationships, and we got into a little bit talking about toxic relationships and everything like that. And I think a lot of it has to do with that lack of communication.
Yeah, lack of communication is a biggie. And you have to, that my story has a happy ending. I met somebody 6 months later that is the sweetest, kindest, most endearing person that I have ever known, and I married him 3 years ago. So he's an active part of my life, a big supporter of what I'm doing, and he, as I said, has lost 70 pounds, so he's thrilled to be on this Get Well ride with me because he feels better than he says he feels better now at 71 than he even felt in his 50s. So there's, I talk in the book that sometimes I feel like there's an angel's hand on my back moving me out of one place to some place where I'm supposed to be. So if you're in a toxic relationship, don't be afraid to try to make it better, and if you can't, don't be afraid to walk away because there's something really wonderful on the other side of that wall, and your life literally depends on it.
Yeah, well, I've gone, like I mentioned, I've gone through before the show. I've gone through bad relationships where they've cheated on me, just left me, did this, did that, and it took all those times to realize that that's not good for me. It's time to walk away from it and let that go. Use it as an experience for future reference, but to let that toxic relationship go. It's time to say that enough is enough.
And I found John I found him online, and I literally spelled out exactly what it was that I wanted. Because I was told, I took a class on relationships because I decided I wasn't very good at this. I took a class on relationships, and she said, your job is sorting. There are lots of men out there. You need to sort. So you need to put out what you want, and then you sort them as they come in. If they don't meet what it is that you're looking for, they're not the right guy for you. And it took 3 days, and John answered, and he lived 10 minutes away from me.
Wow.
So it can happen, but you have to know what you're looking for, and then you have to put it out there.
All right.
And you have to let it in.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for being on the show. You were a great guest and everything like that.
Thank you.
A lot of helpful.
Your guest said I'm
Sure.
also available for coaching. So
Yeah.
if you go onto my website, you can contact me. Your first hour with me is free, where you just get to tell me whatever your health story is. I have people after the first hour who literally hug me because I've never had anyone listen to them for an hour and just talk about all the things that have been frustrating them about their health care and their bodies and what's going on with them. So I'm available for that. And then after that, we decide if we're right for each other. And then we go into a relationship where I help you. And that's why I'm a muse. I want to inspire you to a healthier life. So you can buy my book on my website. You can contact me through my website. You can hire me through my website.
All right. Well, again, thank you again. And if you want to stick around for maybe a couple minutes after the show, it's up to you if you want to or not.
Sure.
And talk about a couple things, and then, but I want to get into what we got coming up for Talk in the Night. Tomorrow night we are going to be talking about aliens and UFOs. I was supposed to have my guest Chad Meek on there talking about his movie Giant Rock the movie, but we're still going to get into aliens and UFOs. Are they out there? What the difference is? We're going to talk about Area 51, Area 52, Roswell, all kinds of things. And then, of course, Wednesday, keeping with the whole space thing, we're going to be talking with my guest Stephanie Osborne. No, she is not related to Ozzy Osbourne. But we're going to be talking about her book series, Division 1, The Urban Legend of MIB. We're going to get into, since she worked in the space program, we're going to talk about her time in the civilian military space program, as well as some of the shuttle disasters. Not too much, because she had a friend on one of the shuttles. But we're going to talk with her. And then, of course, Friday night is open lines, where you, the listeners, can call in, share your stories, experiences, or questions. So, once again, I want to thank Cheryl for coming on the show. It was a great show. Thank you for
having me. It was fun.
Yeah, it was. And I want to thank the listeners. Great listeners, great followers to the show. So, thank you again. And until next time, I shall see you on the dark side. Good night from Talk in the Night.